Okay, so now is when the interesting part begins. It's the 4x4, and I can see from this pattern here, this is our 4x4. But this is not the center of our 4x4. We've gone beyond that. Now it's more than just a 4x4. It's more than just this. It's actually a supercube. So if I start to reduce the centers, like let's say I want to reduce the green one, I would end up putting this green to here, and then I can move these in like so. Boom. Now these greens could have been in any position, so this is not exactly like that. This is a supercube. What I'm going to say is that the actual centers of the 4x4 portion is going to be whatever is moving this inner layer. So this inner layer here. So what that's going to be is these guys. I'm going to say these are the corners. These are probably going to be the centers. What about these guys here? Because they split in the middle, my entire 4x4, the entire 4x4 is contained within this tiny sliver of a layer. So in this layer, and this layer, and this layer is my 4x4 contained within that. But not including these guys here because they contain outside. Anything that is moved with the top layer is my 6x6. Anything that's contained within my middle portion here, my thin layer here, the thinnest layer that does not coincide or does not interact with the terminal layer here is my 4x4. So this whole thing represents the sides of the 4x4. Okay, but this is not one side of the 4x4. So this here doesn't represent this whole side. It's this. This part here represents the side. So this slice here is the entire side of a 4x4. So I'm going to be operating within this narrow spectrum. So what goes where? Well, I'm going to say the innermost portion is going to be the centers. So the centers of my first side, the equivalent to this, is going to be these two pieces here. This is the same piece. So this represents a two-colored centerpiece. So this is one centerpiece. This represents another centerpiece. And this represents another centerpiece. So in all, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 centerpieces, just like you have here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to assume. These pieces, all these 4, are the 4 central edges. So just like I put these in, I've got to put these guys in as well. Now, the thing about a 4x4 is I could have put this green center anywhere. I was totally unrestricted. And that's part of where the parity problems come from, is based on where I put them. However, over here, I can't. So when I put in the edges, every piece has to correlate with the 2x2 that I already put in. So in that way, it constrains the cube. It decreases the degrees of freedom by which I can put in the center piece. So I see this over here, but this is not the right piece because this is red. So this piece, which is the same piece, is white and red. I'm looking for white and orange. Well, let's do this. I'm so used to starting off with green. So I'm going to look around, and I'm going to look around for, say, a green and a red. So looking around, here's a green and a red right here. Now there's 2 green and reds on 2 different sides, here and here. So where does this one go? Well, this one, if I move this side, so this is the side I'm working on, so I can move any other side. So let's move this green and red into a place where it can end up here. Okay, so if I move it here, it can do that. So I want this to move up to here. But I want to do that without offsetting my 2x2 solve. So for every solve that I do, like I did a 4x4, I got to do my 4x4 around the 2x2. So I'm going to do a sliding U technique, but I have to remember which movements are going to isolate this piece. So I'm going to move it up like so. Now I'm going to slide my U to the left, like thus. And I have to do another movement that gets this out of the way, and that's going to be not here, because I find that when I move this, this doesn't move. So I got to move the middle piece. So I'm going to move the middle piece up, like that, and that didn't move it out of the way. Now I'm going to move this back, like thus, sliding it back to the right. Then I'm going to go back down on the right, slide it back to the left, and I'm going to go down on the left. Oof. And then I'm going to slide it back. Boom. So now this and this is correct. So they say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. This is the journey of 1,000 turns. Begins with, well, I'm past my first turn, but 1 turn. So what I'm going to do next is let's put this one in, which is the equivalent of maybe the next one here. And that's going to be green and yellow. You know, it might be easier to demonstrate this if I do a supercube version of this. So as I think of it, if I really wanted to demonstrate what's going on with the edges, with the centers here rather, this 4x4 might actually be a little bit easier. This I pulled out of my collection. This is a nice little modification here. But what it is, as you can see, is these centers are supercube centers. So you can't substitute one for the other. But what's interesting about this is that these colors are the same as these, but you can't substitute one for the other. So if I were to try to substitute this for this, and I bring it down, you can see they'd be opposite. So in that way, it's really exactly the same situation as this, where I have a green and red here, and another green and red that's going to come into over here. So I think that that would better demonstrate the process of solving that puzzle is by using this as this kind of a template, as opposed to the other 4x4. So here's what I have to do while I'm thinking of solving this puzzle. Now I don't have the benefit, quote unquote, of a 2x2 to guide me with this. Maybe I'll scribble a little bit more. But the essence of the supercube solve is I have to find what goes here. Now I don't have the 2x2 underneath it to show me, but if I were to try to find that, I'd have to find a very specific green piece here. Now which green piece is it? Well, is it this one? I can move this into here, but I'm not sure if this actually goes here. So in some ways this takes away some of the mystery, but this is the most equivalent puzzle of the 4x4 component to it because of the changing colors here. What I could do is I could look at the corners here for some guidance, and I can say that this corner here, if I hold it into here, I can maybe find another corner that might be able to give me some information. What I'm doing is I'm seeing if this corner, I think this is the wrong corner though. Yeah, so I'm going to find another corner with the black and red, so it's easily found here. So this would be the corner that guides it. So as long as this corner is in, then I know that this belongs here. So I'm going to look for another red. Now, does this green belong here? Is it a green and orange? Yellow rather. Now let's find a corner here. Now this is a totally different strategy, so think of this as kind of like a bonus demonstration. And I see this is here. So this all fits. So I need to make sure that there's red, or rather, yeah, that there's a black and a yellow. Is there a black and yellow right over here? So the way that this is going to come in is, again, a sliding U technique. This will come up to here. So I move it in from the center, move it to the right, up on the right, down on the left, or slide it back to the left, down on the left, slide it back to the right, and down on the right. So in that way, I've got the center over here. And that's really what I'm doing, is I'm just plopping in these centers. So I'm looking for a green and orange. Green and orange right over here. So is it the right green and orange? Just like I couldn't depend on the colors here. Put that over there just in case you want to see it. So let's see, if I move this to here, now I got to move this to over to here. So I'm going to move the entire side here just to put it in line, and I see that it is correct. So we're going to go up on the left, slide it to the right, then up on the right. Slide it back to the left, down on the left. You can see this stays the same. Slide it back on the right. We're going to go down on the right. Now watch what happens to the circle here. Down on the right. This all turns, this doesn't, and then this goes back. Boom. So now you can see this is in and this is in. So let's move this back. So I'm pretty decided that these are the centers. Now this is one side that we're doing, this whole side here. So I'm going to come around to here, I'm going to find the red and the blue, red and the blue. So here is red and yellow, here's blue and yellow, blue and yellow again. Aha, red and blue, and red and blue. So I've got two to choose from. Which one is it? Well, I'm going to pop it up here, and I see that it's this one. This is going to slide down to here. So I'm going to go slide down on the right. That's pretty cool how that works there. Slide it to the left, down on the left, slide it back to the right, up on the right, slide it back to the left, and up on the left, and then slide it back. Okay, so now this is in. Every one of these pieces, no matter how small, has its own specific sliding U technique to isolate those pieces. It's actually a 3 cycle, so there's a third one involved. So this is in. And now I have one more, which is the purple, rather blue, I guess we'll call it blue and orange. So let's find the blue and orange. Not here, here. So where do you want to go? Well, let's move you down to here. Actually, to here. Okay? I think if we slice this to here, this blue can come up to here. So that's up on the right, moving all of these, slide it to the left. Now basically we're going to take this and isolate it away, so we're going to move it up on the left. And what that did is it brought it down to here, from here actually to here. So it's hidden here. Slide it back to the right, down on the right to get this part back, slide it back to the left. Now we're going to move this back in, if you notice, by going curse splat and then moving this back up to here. This slides back, this comes back, and now we gaze upon the fact that we have our first center of our 4x4 supercube, just like we had this. Now the next step is to do the next center, and I'm going to turn this upside down, and it's going to be the same colors. That's how I know that it's here, exactly the same colors. So I'm just going to put the ones that belong, and it's all going to be sliding U techniques. So the next one that goes here is going to be an orange and green, because it's the same one. Here's an orange and green, so that's going to come up to here. So up on the right, the left rather, slide it to the right, up on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left, back to the right, down on the right. And there it is. Such a useful technique. This is already in, so I'm looking for the black and yellow. Right over here, move this into place, move this into place. Now there's a lot of movement I can do without offsetting this. Up on the right, slide it to the left, up on the left. Slide it back to the right, down on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left. Okay, so now this is in. So I've got these two, and that's what I'm going to do here. So let's go to this as an anchor. I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm going to look for the green and orange. So find the green and orange, not here, here. And this is perfectly positioned. So down on the left, slide it to the right, down, left rather, down on the left. Slide it back to the right, up on the right, slide it back to the left, and up on the left, and slide it back. Okay, so this is in. Now, the technique is the same, but when you watch what's happening with the puzzle, with how the circles are working, it's pretty ingenious how this puzzle is designed. So red and green, it's the only red and green left, and it's right here. Okay, so I'm going to have to find a way. If I move this piece down, now none of this is going to offset what I just did with the opposite side. And in reality, these two are opposite sides. Just like these two are opposite sides. It looks like it's on the same face, but it's not, because this is a layer and this is the opposite layer. So we're going to take this and we're going to bring it up to here on the left. And we're going to slide it to the right. Now let's get a little bit more to what's happening. When I move this up on the right, this gets isolated. So I'm going to go up on the right, and you see it went over here and stayed here. So I'm going to slide it back to the left. I'm going to go down on the left to get this back. Slide it back to the right now, and now when I bring it down, this will all come back. So notice with my circles here, I'm going to go back on the right, and this stays stationary, and boom. So now we've got this in, and this did not change. Okay, so now we can go to here and do orange and blue, Orange and blue, can I just spot you? Can I just find you? There's an orange and blue here, right over here. So I'm going to move this to here to put it in line, and this will come down to here. So once again, slide this up, down on the right, slide it to the left, right over here. Now it's going to be down on the left, but to get this down on the left, I have to move it from here. So down on the left, slide it back to the right, up on the right. Some puzzles seem like they're built to move, and back up on the right. And this is back over here. So now this is in. We've got one more to go, red and blue. Red and blue right over here. So let's see, where do you want to go? I think we're going to want to move you down here. And then we're going to want to move you to here. I think. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe we got to go like this. Yes, okay. Move this to here, so this is in line to come up to here. So up on the right, slide it to the left. Now this is going to go up on the left, it's going to slide over to here by moving my circle like so. Boom. I just have to remember which layer does what moving. Back on the right, down on the right, back to the left, down on the left. This comes back to here. And just like that, we now have our second centers in. Okay, let's go back to our green so we have that. The next step is we start to get other centers. So I'm going to turn this like so, boom. Keep in mind, this is another side, so this is the side that I'm going to work on next. That's the equivalent to finding another side down here. So in here it's just a matter of lining it up. So this is, say, green. We'll find another green. Well, I don't know that it's green that's here. So I may have to go back to my corners to really decide what I think has to happen. So if this is brown over here, it appears that this is green here. So this is going to be kind of like a light green, like this. But this is brown, so it's going to be light green and brown, so it is this guy. This is the one. So I'm going to turn it here. I'm just going to make it match. It's actually not this one. It's this one. Yeah, so green and brown. So this is going to have to be brown and blue. So this is going to end up over here. So I'm just going to move this brown and blue. This will come here, and like so. This will come back. Okay. Whoop. Like that. Okay. So basically I'm just moving these pieces in. Brown and blue. Alright, then I'd have to figure out what these pieces are here. So it's going to be another blue. And it might be this over here. But it's not. It's got to be this. Just like that. So this is going to be purple and green. This is actually a fun one. Purple and light green. So that's this, I think. I move this here. Yeah. So up on the right, slide it to the left. Up on the left, back to the right, down on the right, back to the left, down on the left, boom. Okay, so that fits over here. And if we're to move these guys back, Actually, maybe this was here. Okay, well, doesn't matter. So I've got this piece in here. So that's the next one. Okay, so over here, I just have to be mindful of this layer and this layer. So I'm looking for the green and yellow. Green and yellow. Well, I've got a green and yellow, but as you can see, it's the wrong one. So here's a green and yellow here. This is on the wrong side. This has to make it up to here, because this is the wrong side over here. So the way that that's going to work is, let's move this. Okay. I'm going to move this to the side here. This is opposite where it has to be. So if I do a 2R, like this, 1, 2, 1, 2, it will put it in. But now I got to slide it to the left and do a 2L, 2L, slide it back to the right to get everything back, 2R, 2R, back to the left, 2L, 2L, slide it back here. Okay, you'll find none of these were taken out, and now I've got this. Let's do green and white. So green and white, there's only a limited number of pieces here. Here's a green. No, that's not it. A lot of green and yellows. Green and yellow. Green, okay, here's a green and white here and a green and white over here. So I've got a couple to choose from regarding greens and whites. And I think I got it. If I move this down here, this will come up to here. So up on the left, slide it to the right. We now got to get this out of the way, which I can achieve by moving the circle here, up on the right. Slide it back to the left. We got to get these guys back, which I can do by going down on the right. Slide it back to the left. I need to move this back to here, which I can do by moving the center here, down on the right. Now I move this back here and bang! So now we have this. So I'm actually going to try to fill in all of these surrounding the 2x2 with these centers. Coming over to here we have yellow and blue. Right over here, is it the correct yellow and blue? And it's not. Looking around real quick to see if I can find it. Where are you? Well, I know it's not this one. Sometimes I see so many colors shining back at me, I'm not sure what I'm looking at. Okay, let's take another look here. Yellow and blue. Am I looking right through it? Yep, I am. It's right over here. So this is another one that I have to move twice. So let's move it opposite. So I go 2 on the right, slide it to the left. Then I got to get this out of the way, move this down here. So that's going to be 2 on the left. That moves this down here. Back to the right, bring this back up. 2 on the right. We move this back here. Now I got to get this back in, so we go to over here, and then we move this back. Okay, so now this is in, and one final one, blue and white, right over here. But I don't think it's the right one. The reason why I don't think it's the right one is because if I try to move this in line, then I find that I'm wrong. It is the right one. So this, whoop, where'd it go? Huh, interesting, lost it. Well, where did it go? Huh, okay. Well, here's one over here. Maybe that's where it went. Maybe it got dragged up. So, we go up on the right. Now I got to slide it to the left, move this out of the way to over here, and that's going to be moving the circle like this, which is another word for down, up on the right, left rather, down on the right, back to the left, down on the left. Now you can see what a pleasure it is to move this around. There's no catching, it's just pure Joy of motion. Okay, so this third side is now done. Now if I were to do it with this, just to sort of get everything in. But this isn't on supercube, so it's much easier. Boom. Ha. All right, so to get the third one, here's my top and bottom, here's this. What I'm going to be looking for here is the blue, which is this over here. Well, no, actually we don't know that it's the blue. It's going to be gray, and it's going to be these two colors here, which is right over here. So I'm going to put the other one in, which is here. So this is another doing it twice. Oh no, actually it's not that. It's got to be a blue and white. So 1, 2, not like that. So like this. So 1, 2, 1, 2, slide it over here, 1, 2, 1, 2. You'll recognize this is the same technique. Slide to the left, 2L, 2L, slide it back to the right, 2R, 2R. Slide it back here. Okay? So we got this in, and now we just have to put whichever white one. Here's some whites and reds. So which white and red matches up? It's this one. So up on the left, slide it to the right, up on the right, slide it back to the left, down on the left, slide it back to the right, down on the right. And now I'm looking for the red and silver. So this is really put in much the same way. And making sure that I can line it up. So it's 1, 2, nope, wrong one. It's got to be this one. 1, 2, 1, 2, slide to the right, 2R, 2R, slide it back to the left, 2L, 2L, slide it back to the right, 2R, 2R. Okay, so that puts these guys in, and then that leads me to, well, the last two. And I know the colors here because they're the same here, which is going to be the purple, green, brown, and blue. Here's the purple here. Purple, green, brown, and blue. So up, turn back, down, turn back. So now the purple and green is right here. So up, slide it to the left, up on the left, to the right, down on the right, to the left, down on the left. Okay, so these are all in. And notice I'm not even coordinating it with the edges at this point. And then this will be the last one. I'm going to save that for when we're actually there. So now we're going to do the next corner, edge rather, and it's going to be this side, just so that I can coordinate it all with this 2x2. So this is already in. So where's the green one? Green and white. Green and white. So that's going to come from not these layers, but this layer, or this, or this. So the green and white should be fairly easy for me to find. And it's here, right position where it needs to be. So we're going to go up on the right, slide it to the left, and I'll move this out of the way by moving our circle up on the left. See? Boom. Slide it back to the right. And even if you don't know how the circles move, you can just do the sliding U. It's the same thing. Bang. And splat. Okay, this is in. We need the red and white and blue rather. White and blue is right here. And it's the only one that's left over. So we're going to do what? How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to do this by moving it down here and then down here. But then I'm going to take this and move this entire block, not just the circle, I got to move this whole thing, entire block here. And now do our algorithm. Up on the left, right rather, slide it to the left, and up on the left. Slide it back to the right. Now all of our sliding is using middle slice moves here. So all using middle slice, which isolates these triangles. This goes back here, and this comes back here. Now, let's just be sure I didn't throw anything off. So these are still all in, so we're good. This is all in here, and now I need the blue and orange. Yellow rather, and that's right over here. So all I have to do is move this side, whoops, down, like so. Blue and orange, where'd you go? Right over here. Hello. Up on the right, slide it to the left. Up on the left, slide it back to the right. Down on the right, slide it back to the left. And now you can see this circle as you go down on the left. So now what you can see is this whole side is done, and we're down to the last, no, we're not down to the last center, but we're close to it. But anyway, so we've got all the 4x4 centers surrounding the 2x2. So now I gotta leave this, and I gotta do these guys. So I'm down to the last two. So I've got these two reds, but this is the wrong red, this is the wrong red. So forget about that. Move this here. Is there anything that's already in? Well, I've got two reds, but I think I established that none of them were correct. So why don't I do this? Because these two belong up here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, slide it to the right, left rather, 1, 2, 1, 2. And again, all of my sliding U techniques are using terminal slices. Not terminal, mid slices, deep cuts to do it. Boom. Now, through all this, it's not going to disrupt any of these sides. It's going to isolate this, so now this is in. So now where's the other red? It's right here. So it's down on the left, slide it to the right, 2R, 2R. Bring it back, 2L, bring it back, and 2L. Okay, so now you can see that both of these are correct. Now this belongs here, but this doesn't. So let's do the orange and yellow, which is going to be this guy. It's all going to come from the side that's opposite. 1, 2, 1, 2. Slide it here. 2L, 2L. Slide it to the right. 2R, 2R, slide it back to the left. Oh, the dog sees something she doesn't like. Maybe it's a broken puzzle. And turn. And boom. Okay, that was good. Okay, fine. Orange and white. It's not this one because it belongs there. So in that way, it's very much like this puzzle because it has the same colors on opposite sides. Pretty cool. It's the right one. Okay, let's try that again, but the right way. Okay. Goes here. Turn. Turn and turn. Okay, so we've got that in, and now we have the last center. So how do we do the last center of a 4x4 supercube? Well, the last center is equivalent to, say, what we have here. Now, in that way, I look for two that are in. We don't have two that are in here, but it's simply just doing a corner swap, just like I did with this. I'm now looking at this center purely as a 2x2. So this is a 2x2 center. So that's 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, turn, turn, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. And that turns back. Okay, now I've got these two in. Once I have two in, I move it to the left, and I swap these two by going 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, turn, turn, counterclockwise, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. Okay, in that way, this is now in. So that took. Okay, so find the two that are in. If I don't find two, aha, these two are in. I can tell because, well, they're lined up. I move this here, and we're going to find that these match. See, they match. So that means these two, these guys, now when I say these two, this and this, they just need to be flip-flopped. So this red and white can be here, and this white and orange can be here. So we're going to go ahead and do that same algorithm that we did with our 2x2. That's a deep slice. Now understand, to prevent this from becoming a 2x2 swap, we're going to be moving this layer. If I move this layer, then I'm simply going to change my 2 by 2 corners there. So we got 2R, and then this layer will be a U, 2R, UI, 2R, then I do UI, D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, and 2R. This moves back, and as you can see, we flip-flop that, so now we have our 4x4 supercube center solved, just like we did with this. Okay.